So,
Benjamin's here. He'll wait until starts slinking in the back. Now I start shooting.
I'll make sure everybody has time to get it to them.
a quick story before we get started. I heard this from our beloved Reverend Rick. Apparently, some of you may remember, apparently one time he had a male intern who became very interested in technology and noticed that this person noticed that they could make a PowerPoint and then project that PowerPoint onto the wall. And at the time, this was like, oh my word, is this okay or is this not okay? Well, I didn't know that, right? So when I came almost 8 years ago, you all were already doing this, right? Well, guess what? Today, we get to go back in time. and have the quiet, peaceful experience of listening to each other's voices and being in the moment. So with that, we will get started.
Well, good morning. The gathering hymn today is in the teal hymnal, and you're going to need to actually have the teal hymnal because we can't project the words up on the wall like we usually do. It's when your heart is in a holy place. It's 1008 in the teal hymnal. Everybody got a teal hymnal. (1008). Please rise in body or spirit as you're able. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
So good morning. It's so great that we have chosen to be here, both in person and online, and that we're able to do that. So let's do a quick turnaround to the back and wave good morning to the people online. They can see us, even though we can't see slides, and they can't. Well, maybe they can see slides. Lorianne, can they see slides? Oh, fine. They can see the slides. Well, there we are. And now let's take a moment to say hello to those by us, and then we will get started. Alrighty, so how we're going to do the affirmation is like this. We did this a couple, 3 years ago for those of you who were at a Sparkle and Clean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say my little quote that I found, I hope you enjoy, and then I'm going to say it's time for our affirmation. I will say a line, and then you will repeat it after me. Sound good? Fabulous. Do you know why we can do this? Because we're in this together. Yay, all righty. So what I found is from Sophia Foz. Some beliefs are like shadows, darkening children's days with unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Let us look for the sunshine in our lives as we say our affirmation together. Love is our doctrine. Beautiful. Compassion is our way.
Compassion is our way.
This is working out well. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration.
Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration.
Build a community of caring fellowship.
Build a community of caring fellowship.
Nurture the hopes. And serve the needs of our world. Thank you.
For the introit song, I'm going to sing Water from Another Time, written by John McCutcheon. Since I don't play an instrument, friends Tim and Kathy Crosby are going to accompany me. This song has special meaning for me because my Swedish immigrant grandparents operated a dairy and egg farm outside Everett, Washington for many years. And I used to go there every summer and spend time. They had a pump, like is mentioned in this song, that we had to put water in it in order to make it work to prime the pump. And that's the message in the song. It tells the story about life on the farm, but it's also a metaphor about how the generations need each other. So, here we go. We can sing this chorus. We were hoping to be able to show the words and have you sing along in the chorus, so you can join us. Tim and I will sing the chorus so you get the idea, and maybe you'll be able to join in when we sing the chorus during the song. Okay. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Need a little water from another time. New mown hay on a July morn, grandkids running through the knee-high corn, sunburnt nose and a scabbed up knee from a rope on the white oak tree. Just another summer's day on Grandpa's farm with Grandma's bucket hanging off my arm. You know the old pump's rusty, but it works fine, primed with water from another time. Take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Tattered quilt on the goose down bed, every stitch tells a story my grandma said. Mama's nightgown, Grandpa's pants, and the dress she wore to her high school dance. Wrapped at night in its patchwork scenes, I waltz with Grandma in my dreams. My arms, my heart, my life entwined with water from another time. Don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Newborn cry in the morning air, past and the future are wedded there. Wellspring of my sons and daughters, bone and blood of living waters. Though grandpa's hands have gone to dust, like grandma's pump reduced to rust, their stories quench my soul and mind like water from another time. Don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Just leave a little extra for the next in line. Need a little water from another time.
Thank you, Joel. Each week we light 3 chalices. The first is for us, friends and members here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. The second chalice we light is for our Unitarian friends in Shimafalva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third one we light for our children and youth, both in religious education as well as the world at large. The lighting of the chalice can be seen as symbolic by these words by Gary Koloski. With faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. Please join me in singing The Flame into Life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
I'm wondering if there's anybody who would like to get closer to see the pictures in this book. The children, the young at heart, or anybody in the back, because we don't have slides to show you today. So if you want to see the picture, you might want to come up towards the front. It looks like fruit. This is Zomo. Zomo, the rabbit. I don't know. This tale comes from West Africa and a country that is now called Nigeria. It's a tale that happened long, long ago, back when animals could talk to each other and there weren't very many people, if any. Zomo. Zomo is not very big. Zomo is not very strong, but Zomo is very clever. And Zomo can get what he wants by playing tricks. It might be dancing, or maybe he's hopping. Then time was, Zomo thought, I want more than cleverness. I want wisdom. So he went to visit the sun god to see if he could get some wisdom. The sun god said, Zomo, it is not so simple. I can't just give you wisdom. You have to earn it. How? Asked Zomo. Well, you have to do 3 impossible tasks. And if you do those tasks, Then I will give you wisdom. First, you must bring me the scales from big fish in the sea. Then you must bring me the milk from wild cow. And finally, you need to bring me a tooth from leopard. I will try, said Zomo. So Zomo went to the edge of the sea, and he sat down on the sand and started to play his drum. He played it very loud. He played it so loud that big fish at the bottom of the sea heard it and came up to the sand. Let's see what happens. We'll find out. Let's look. No, big fish came up on the sand and started to dance. Yes, he danced and danced and danced, just like you girls were dancing. But he danced faster and faster because Zomo played faster and faster and harder, and all of his scales fell off, and he was naked. Oh, he jumped back in the sea. So quickly, Zomo gathered up all the scales and put them in his hat, and he hurried off to the forest. Yeah, to the sun god, but not yet. He has 2 more tasks to do. So in the forest, Zomo found a young palm tree, and he climbed all the way up to the top, and he looked all around. He looked and looked and looked, and then he saw a wild cow. Ha ha, he laughed. You are not so strong. You are not so big. Wild cow said, "Who is laughing at me?" "It is me," he said. "I'm up here. Ha ha, you can't even knock me out of this tree." Oh, that made Wild Cow very mad. So she pawed the ground, and she huffed and puffed, and she ran as fast as she could to the tree, and boom! She tried to knock it down, but instead, her horns got stuck in the tree. Quickly, Zomo climbed down, turned his drum over, and filled it up with milk, and hopped off as fast as he could before Wild Cow could get loose. Yes. So Zomo hurried up to the top of Big Hill. He knew that that was where Leopard came every day to take a walk. So he took a few of the scales from Big Fish and dropped them on the ground. And he sprinkled a little milk. And then he went down to hide at the bottom of the other side behind a big rock. And this is his last test. Soon Leopard came walking, and he went up to the top of the hill and slip. That's Leopard. He's kind of like a tiger. But Leopard slipped on the slippery scales and slippery milk and went tumbling, bumbling all the way down to the bottom of the hill, and smash, he hit his face right into the rock where Zomo was hiding. If I can turn the page. There it is. Oh, dear. And his tooth popped out. Fast as he could, Zomo grabbed that tooth and went hopping off to find the sun god. Leopard was kind of dazed and couldn't chase after him yet. So he took the scales from Big Fish and the milk from Wild Cow and the tooth from Leopard to the sky god. The sky god smiled down on him and said, "Oh, you did a good job. Thank you. Now I shall give you wisdom." So when the sky god spoke, Zomo listened. The sky god said, "There are 3 things in this life that are important to have: courage, good sense, and caution. Little rabbit, you have lots and lots of courage. Once in a while, you have some good sense. But you have no caution. So next time you see big fish, wild cow, or leopard, you better run fast. Now, Zomo is not very big, and he is not very strong. He is very clever, and he has wisdom, and he is very, very fast. And that's the end. Thanks, everybody. So, do you think having wisdom is a good idea? Yeah. But you do have to kind of understand how to make it happen, huh? I have had a request from a friend of mine. Her name is Annie. Do you know Annie? Yeah? She can't be here. She can't be here today. And she usually gives birthday cards to people who have a birthday today. Who has a birthday in August? You do? You do? You have a birthday in August? No. You know what? I have a birthday every month, too. My birthday, it's just not my usual birthday. Does anybody else have a birthday in August? Anybody? Anybody? Well, Lorianne, happy birthday, and we're so glad you were born. We're happy that you're with us. We also have a friend named Cordelia who had a birthday in August, and Violet has a birthday in August, and Saphira has a birthday in August. But no, I don't have a name for you. I'm sorry. Are you Cordelia? Oh, no, then I don't have one. And Amelia, I don't think I have one for you either. But let's send a happy birthday wish to everybody who has a birthday today in August for the whole month. Ready? Happy birthday! All right. Now, if those folks in the middle would like to make a little arch for the kids to pass through, I think they're going to take a little walk.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
Empathy and compassion, two kindred traits that increase connections with one another. Empathy allows you to understand and share another's feelings and experiences. If your friend is sad, you also feel sad alongside them, allowing yourself to be open to the suffering of another. Compassion takes that one step further. It is feeling both personal sorrow as well as recognizing there is a universal sorrow. It can seem like there are plenty of opportunities for that these days throughout the world. Take a moment and bring to mind someone you know who has recently suffered a loss or pain of some kind. Allow yourself to experience that feeling and know that it is not a unique experience. that we all feel loss or pain at some point in our lives, and being able to experience that is part of what makes us human. Compassion asks us to act somehow to help alleviate the pain of another, whether we sit by them, send them a note, ask how we can help. What is one thing that you can do today to help a hurting world? And gratitude. Sometimes it's easy to miss out on the little, seemingly everyday types of gifts. When interacting with others while doing business, what if those interactions were not looked upon as a business transaction, but as a gift of one person helping another? Recently, I had the slightly anxiety-provoking experience of something being wrong with my car, and then the slightly frustrating experience of having to get it fixed, including having to wait for it and the change to my schedule. While I was waiting and thinking back on the situation, I started noticing people's actions as gifts. The friend who checked in on me, the boss letting me leave work early, being able to drive directly to the mechanic without an appointment, the mechanic talking to his boss and being able to fix the car without needing to leave it overnight, and then the gift of it not costing me anything. By thinking of all of these actions as gifts, I became immensely grateful for everything that had been given to me, emotionally, time, mechanically, and monetarily. What other experiences in our lives can we change from a view of just get it done to one of gifts being received, and be grateful for that? Compassion and gratitude in life, a path that brings meaning and hope. And now, who's our Lifeline's lay minister today? Oh, it is Margaret. Excellent.
Working on perfection. Good morning, everyone. I'm Margaret Gregg, one of your Lifeline's lay ministers, and we have a couple of joys and sorrows to share. Tracy's birthday was last Sunday, and while that might have been a joy, he also lost his dad. And we're thinking of you today, Tracy. I'm sorry, that must have been a birthday you'll never forget. And we had a joy here at church yesterday, and it's by Anonymous. There was a beautiful wedding at UUCS Saturday, still wrapping up past 11 p.m. last night. Big party. Please enjoy the glitter remnants from the fairy dresses and understand that things may not be pristine until a custodial team can come in. It looks pretty good to me, so they must have really cleaned up.
I was wiping the glitter off.
Oh, you got glitter? The glitter's all up here. Sounds like a good time. Oh, and I just want you to know that we are still working on getting the joys and sorrows put in electronically. Kathy, Rowland, and I are doing some training with Sandy this week, so hopefully we can all start seeing that online. So, we'll light one more candle for all the joys and concerns that weren't voiced, but remain unspoken in our hearts. The lay ministers are part of fellow members who extend the ministry to the rest of the congregation and friends who are experiencing loss, illness, or any type of personal or family crisis. Until we have our own minister, we're not going to be having compassionate Sundays, compassionate connections, I always get that mixed up, here on Sundays, but we're going to have our table in the fellowship hall. If you want to talk, we'll be there. We're wearing our little green stoles, and Ricky is here today, our favorite therapy dog. So come and say hello and share whatever's on your mind. You can reach out to us, and I think in view of there not being anything back here, go online if you want to reach out to the lifelines and get on the website, and all the instructions are there. Have a wonderful week. It's lovely to see you here.
Listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song.
Oh, I have to tell you where this is from, don't I? This is from Alan Watts' book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, chapter, The Age of Anxiety. There is then the feeling that we live in a time of unusual insecurity. In the past 100 years, so many long-established traditions have broken down. Traditions of family and social life, government, of the economic order, and of religious belief. As the years go by, there seem to be fewer and fewer rocks to which we can hold, fewer things which we can regard as absolutely right and true and fixed for all time. To some, this is a welcome release from the restraints of moral, social, and spiritual dogma. To others, it is a dangerous and terrifying breach with reason and sanity, tending to plunge human life into hopeless chaos. To most, perhaps, the immediate sense release has given a brief exhilaration to be followed by the deepest anxiety. For if all is relative, if life is a torrent without form or goal, in whose flood absolutely nothing save change itself can last, it seems to be something in which there is no future, and thus no hope. And so, where does faith and fellowship fall in helping us find hope and reduce anxiety? Let's explore.
Good morning. My name is Craig Rowland, and honestly, I can't believe I'm up in the pulpit again. I was doing really well about 3 hours ago. Anxiety has increased a little bit since then. I want to thank everyone who showed up to support me. It means a lot. If you're not familiar with me, it's okay. I tend to hide in the background a lot. I don't do well in large groups. It tends to be overwhelming and increase my anxiety. So I like smaller groups. It's one reason why I really like the Soul Matters Connections groups. If you haven't signed up for them, we are still have registration open. If you aren't familiar with them, they're smaller groups that meet once a month to talk about a topic presented in the Soul Matters material. The material contains things to read, videos to watch, and audio recordings to listen to that relate to that month's topic. A while ago, one of the topics was faith, and it asked us to consider what it means to be a community of faith. I had a hard time with that topic. For me, growing up in a conservative household, faith was a dark cloud on the horizon. As a teenager questioning their sexuality, faith meant living in fear that God would figure out I was a fraud and punish me. According to my religious leaders at the time, anything that didn't include marriage and kids was an affront to God. It took a long time to feel comfortable with my religious past, which meant bouncing from one religious tradition to another. The New Age movement of the 80s felt vibrant and hopeful. It was a renaissance of new and old traditions. Still, some of it came across as repackaged Puritanism that failed to address racism, income inequality, and the AIDS crisis. I liked Buddhism, but meditation and mental illness wasn't a great fit for me. Being alone with my thoughts was a very frightening place. So when this topic came up in my connections group, instead of dwelling on what faith meant to me in the past, I focused on what faith means to me now and what faith might mean to other congregation members. I had a hard time wrapping my mind around what faith might look from a secular point of view. It was easier for me to switch from an all-powerful sky father who hated gay people to an all-powerful, non-gendered sky being who wanted the best for me than it was to think about faith as an aspect of community and connection. The last time I was in the pulpit, I disclosed my struggles with mental illness and some unpleasant things that happened in my past. I felt I had reached a point where I couldn't grow spiritually unless I was being authentic. And I couldn't be authentic if I wasn't being honest about the things that brought me to this congregation. So I wrote it all down, everything about my past that I wanted to tell the congregation, but I was afraid would make me feel like an outsider. I never, ever intended to read it out loud. I sat on the essay for a year before I sent it to Reverend Rick. And Reverend Rick's response was, "Great, when would you like to read it in the pulpit?" There wasn't any question with Rick if I should share or what was the best way to share. It would be from the pulpit. We just needed to pick a day. I have shared my mental health diagnosis with my workplaces and with other groups, and it didn't always go well. In fact, I've been careful to disclose what I disclose to my primary care physician because they want to cure you, and I just need help being me. I don't regret disclosing my past to this congregation. In fact, I have noticed that I am more willing to disclose and be honest with individual members from here than I am other groups. Now I haven't always been the best UU in this congregation, and I have dropped the ball on more than one occasion, but I have never felt that my mental health was called into question about why I acted one way or another. I have never been taken aside and asked if my depression or anxiety would affect me taking on a role in this congregation. While some of you sitting there may not think that's a big deal, when I told my therapist about it, they asked, "Wait, what is the name of this congregation?" And they asked me a lot of questions about UUism. Getting up here and talking about my struggles with depression and anxiety was a defining moment. I knew that it would bring me closer to the congregation or sent me running. It was strange to trust people and not be disappointed. It made me think how feeling connected to a community often requires work and trust, that it is a two-way street. But is trust faith? And why is it easier for me to trust someone from the congregation than it is for me to trust other social groups? Last year, I tried to branch out my social sphere and started volunteering with a few other groups. It wasn't great. There were a number of things that contributed to me not feeling connected or belonging. While I may not have been able to point out why a year ago, I think I gained a little bit of insight since then. In the book, The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters, it talks about creating clear intentions of why you are hosting an event, a meeting, or even a potluck. According to the book, the purpose of gathering should be specific, unique, and disputable. It is the difference between saying you want to have a church meeting to meet new members and having a church meeting where meeting new members just happens, but the specific, unique, and disputable goal would be to create a trusted circle of friends that you want to share with and not be judged. So you can see how very similar meetings might feel very different when you walk into them. The function of gatherings should not be why we gather. At least that's the way I understand it from the book. I think most of us find gathering in person has some type of challenge. It can be physically difficult. It can bring up anxiety and insecurities. Traveling by car or bus is expensive or time-consuming. For me, if I'm attending several potlucks a month, it starts to hit my food budget, and it's not sustainable. I ride the bus, so if the point was to talk to strangers, I have plenty of opportunities to do that. It just feels odd to show up and not feel like there's any real reason to be there. So after not finding connection, I decided I'd go back to volunteering at this congregation again. I continue to volunteer on the Committee on Human Resources. The functions of that team are often creating policies, helping hire new staff, and helping with employee reviews. Yet, the larger why we meet is found in the mission and vision statement of our congregation. CHR is just one of the teams that works to create a home that is safe, exemplifies our values, and appreciate the gifts of our congregation members. The Committee on Human Resources takes those ideas from the mission and vision statement and ensures that it applies to staff as well. To create a safe home for them, to respect their values, and to honor their gifts. I have faith and trust that the other teams will do the functions they say they will, and that it somehow relates to our mission and vision statement. I decided to take on the task of the pledge drive this year. I knew it was a lot of work and that in December I was at least 2 months behind. It was a lot of work that I wasn't really prepared for, but I knew there were plenty of experts I could talk to, and if I had questions or needed help. It's hard for me to be involved in projects and not take it personally, so there were personal challenges to the pledge drive that I would have to face. I took the UUA class on stewardship. I met with George Struble and Lorna Young, took lots of notes. I attended a few online workshops so that I could connect with other congregations who were also running their pledge drive at the same time we were. In a post-COVID lockdown world, congregations are facing new challenges. It was good to get an idea of how other congregations were facing those challenges and what they did. So armed with a lot of information about what had worked in the past and what could work currently, I looked at the time we had left to get everything done and the volunteers we had, and I made a plan. For the most part, I feel like I did what I was told would work, given the allotted time. I wasn't recreating the wheel. I was just following instructions and trusting that the instructions were correct. The final Sunday of the pledge drive was approaching, and we hadn't hit our budget yet. I had used up more of my personal reserves than I thought possible. We were short about $10,000 to make it to a budget where nothing had to be cut. I woke up that Sunday and I really did not want to face the prospect of not making the budget. So I was determined to make that number by the end of the day. I rode the bus in and started to form a game plan. When I got here, I talked to the celebrant about speaking in the pulpit. I had the numbers, but I needed to say something about those numbers. So as the service started, I found a quiet place to write what I was going to say. On my way to the sanctuary, I was handed 2 pledges, and I looked at them, and it was enough. It actually put us a little bit above our baseline. We wouldn't have to make any cuts. I sat in the back of the sanctuary and listened to the service. I was stunned. We had made the budget. I couldn't believe it. Despite everything, members of our community came through. I looked at these names, and they weren't people I knew personally, yet I felt connected to them. While their specific vision of the future of the congregation might not be the same as mine, we share hope for the future and trust that what will come next is better than what we had before. Felt great to give news to everyone at the same time. I'd say it felt like a miracle, but I knew all the hard work that had happened to get us to that goal line. It wasn't just one volunteer, but a lot of volunteers, and help from other teams: worship, finance, communications, the office staff listening to me panic each week. I did what I was told was effective and had to trust that it would work, even when UUA was saying, well, we don't know. Try this, and if it doesn't work, try this other thing. It made me start to think about how building connections with people and building a community doesn't happen without effort. It requires intention that is based on shared values, hard work, and trust. With the pledge drive, it wasn't just trust in you as members, but it was trust in the process. I'm not too sure if any of you have been paying attention to UUA's Article 2 revisions. Article 2 is the principles and purposes part of UUA's bylaws. It's an attempt to clarify our shared values. It's where our 7 principles come from. There are things about the changes that I don't really care for, but I've been following the news enough to see how it came into being, the people involved, and the processes that it underwent before it was presented to the General Assembly last year. With some tweaks and a lot of discussion, Article 2 revisions passed this year. In the end, I supported the changes, not because they speak to me personally, but because I believe in the process and I believe in the intentions behind the changes. I feel that the new Article 2 addresses concerns many congregations have brought up over the years, and it speaks to the next generation of Unitarian Universalism. In another 25 years, it's going to be revised and changed again. I may have my doubts about democracy as a whole, and I may still not fully trust my next-door neighbor, but it's different here at UUCS because we have a personal covenant with each other. Our congregation and the larger UU community has a mission statement that really does shape the policies and systems that get put into place. I can have faith in the choices this congregation makes and that the UUA makes because it is built on this covenantal relationships. And I have learned to trust in those relationships and that things work out. Sometimes it just takes longer than others. I don't know if I can say what faith is, and I'm sure that your experiences are going to be different than mine. In fact, right at this moment, Gloria Holland is giving a homily about faith, and it is completely in Corvallis, and it's completely different than my homily. I do think faith, miracles, and community require a lot of work to make happen. I feel like the potluck with a mission statement is a lot more fulfilling and rewarding to attend than the potluck that just happens. Mission statements, personal covenants, and shared visions help shape so much of what happens at UUCS, and I want to thank everybody who has helped build this home. My experiences over the years makes me excited for the next chapter in our congregation's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you for all that work with the pledge drive. And we're going to do it again this year, right?
Yeah.
Yes, fabulous, fabulous. All right, I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a deep breath in and out. And again, in and out. Now let's take a moment and recall a time in your life when something didn't go the way you planned, but worked out nevertheless. It might have been a social occasion, a project at school or work, or a delayed trip. What did you feel when you first found out that changes had been made? Were you angry, frustrated, sad? Did you feel a need to fix it? Or did you just give up and think, well, things never work out for me? Now recall how you felt when things did work out, even if they weren't precisely how you thought they should be. Were you surprised, relieved, delighted, or still frustrated? Who helped in making things work out? Likely it was another person who stepped up and helped you or the situation. Think of that person fondly and quietly under your breath and thank them. And then thank yourself for having trust that it would work out. Trust in yourself and trust in others, that somehow it will all work out. Together, we can do anything. May we remember this in hard times and in joyous times. As we continue on our spiritual path, practicing compassion and gratitude, we can express it in many forms, as volunteerism, supporting communities such as UUCS, both in pledges and in time, and supporting communities in the wider Salem area. Weekly, we support the Marion Polk Food Share, and for the month of August, the Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette. Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette is an affiliate of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, PPFA. While Planned Parenthood as a national movement began in 1916, PPCW was founded in 1963 as Planned Parenthood Association of Portland. The first health center opened its doors in October of 1963 in space sublet from the Interfaith Counseling Center in downtown Portland. In June of 1993, A health center in Salem was opened. PPCW is committed to leading other Planned Parenthood affiliates and family planning providers in reproductive health care technology. In order to donate, for those of you in person, you may place food for the Marion Polk Food Share in the little red wagon that is right up here in front. Monetary donations may be placed in the bags that are about to be passed along. You can also visit the website and follow the directions to donate online. Thank you for helping both UUCS and the wider community of Salem.
Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast, that promised land where all is peace? Oh, deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast, that promised land where all is peace? Oh, deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground.
Thank you, Joel and Lorianne, and our two guest musicians. Let's give them a nice round of applause again. It's lovely to have them. Thank you, everybody. That's great. All righty. So next Sunday, we are having service, and the homilist for next Sunday is somebody by the name of Sarah Pickett. And she's going to be talking about the ghosts among us. And part of me just wants to leave you with that, at the title, The Ghosts Among Us. I have a confession about a ghost that has traveled with me throughout my life, and I'm going to tell you that story. And as has already been mentioned, Connections Group registration is upon us. And we have Margaret here who's going to come and talk a little bit about that as one of the facilitators.
Thank you for that gift, Sarah. Sarah has gifted me the opportunity of talking to you about our connection group. I wasn't ready for it, but Greg and I have been doing this for 5 years now, and Six? With Greg and I?
Yeah.
Wow. We're getting old, kid. Connections groups have become so important to us, and we love the folks in our group. I don't have anything written, so to try and tell you how our groups are and how we connect once a month, we've all become friends. And I think those of you who have experience with connection groups know that, and you feel that. You make friends. Every month we get a packet, and for us, for Greg and I, we don't care whether you read them or not. The most important thing is that you come and share yourselves. So I strongly recommend that you find a connection group, find some friends, and make the connections. How's that, Sarah, okay?
That was a beautiful gift.
Good enough?
That was beautiful, thank
All
you,
right.
thank you. That's great. And yes, and I have my iPad with me if you need help registering today after the service. And even if you have been among the groups that have been around now for 5 or 6 or 7 years, you technically still have to register, just letting you know, for those of you who haven't done it yet. Thank you. And next order of business is Family Promise is going to be here next week, starting the 11th after service, and they still need help with a dinner host on Saturday, which would be I want to say the 17th? The 17th. I'm getting a nod of the head. An evening host, which means you come, you don't necessarily have to bring food, but you come and you play games and you chat and you so forth, both Friday evening and Saturday evening. And if you're really excited, you could spend the night Saturday night, because we need a Saturday night host, overnight host as well. And I think that is it. Thank you, Sarah, as in Sarah Chateau, Roberta, and Deborah. So they'll have their table out, so be sure and sign up for that. And that is all the notes I have, which means that the last plug is that if you do not get the newsletter or the Friday email updates, please contact the office and say in bold print, "Here is my email, please send these to me." You can also ask them to send a hard copy of the newsletter. Craig just told me before service that there are 12 people who are still getting hard copies mailed to them. So apparently we can do this. We have stamps and we have people who go put them in the mailbox. So please keep up with that. Thank you. So now Craig is going to come and bring the social justice candle. Excuse me. And he's going to take the light from our chalice, lighting the social justice candle, as a reminder of all that we do in our daily lives to help a hurting world. And then as we extinguish the chalices, let's remember these words by George Bernard Shaw. We are all dependent on one another, every soul of us on earth.
For our closing hymn, you'll need to get out the gray hymnal, number 347, Gather the Spirit. So please rise in body or spirit as you are able for our closing hymn. Number 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials this light appear all the same. Gather in homes, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion, and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, gone by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion, and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Wonderful. Please remain standing and hold hands if you'd like. Craig, you want to come up and help me? So let's do this as we did our affirmation. I'll say a line and then you respond, please. May faith in the spirit of life. Hope for the community of earth. And love for the sacred in one another. Be ours now. And in all the days of our lives. Thank you. Yay, thank you.